Lawson. I am with Holly in the seasonal department, and I'm the designer for containers we sell here.
She does beautiful containers.
Thank you.
What are we doing today? Year long containers?
Yeah. So we're going to talk about
different ways of keeping your
how to
container
design them, but also about plants that can be staples in your containers that can use for several years while just swapping out some different things. So kind of container gardening for for all seasons.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah. We'll start from the basics. Get started for making sure you have drainage. We get a lot of people in saying, well, I don't know what's going on with my plants. Well, do you have drainage? Well, no. Well, that's what's going on with your plants. Then you need to have the excess water able to flow out.
If you're careful with your indoor plants, sometimes people can get away without drainage and doing okay, but I don't recommend it for outdoor, especially with rain and stuff, and we're watering with hoses. They can get real waterlogged quickly.
And we've seen that happen.
I've made it happen.
When you're picking your plants, don't just think about flowers. Flowers are pretty. We all love flowers, but textures, colors. The Lawson cypress there, what is that? That's the Azuria? Yes. Is a gorgeous blue. And then just
fantastic backdrop to a lot of different colors and textures.
Just below it, the shrub dogwood, Dr. Pepper, Sergeant Pepper.
It's got this beautiful
It's either
pink
the Beatles or it's
edging.
the soda.
And of course, it will lose its leaves in the winter, but then it has those nice red twigs that are also very decorative. So it's got many seasons of
Gorgeous
interest.
red twigs. They also come in yellow twigs, orange twigs. I have many of those at my house. I love them. I can go on about it. Down below, we've got the yellow. That is Athuya. I have to think about it. That's a Forever Gold, right?
I think it might be Forever Gold.
Forever Gold, yeah.
And something to keep in mind, a lot of times people want to plant their containers and then just set it forever. Not usually the best way to approach things, but if you get these guys in your containers, you can usually get a few seasons depending on how fast a grower they are, and then move them out into your landscape for a second life and freshen your pots, freshen the soil at that time, and carry on. So you can, with a lot of these perennials, you can get double duty out of them by having them in your container for a season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons, and then moving it out into your landscape once they're bigger and make a bigger impact in your landscape. So sometimes a nice way to start with a smaller, less expensive version of a plant that's maybe just a baby and won't do a whole lot in your landscape yet, but in a couple years this is going to be a nice size out in your landscape.
And after 2 or 3 years, it's time to, redo it, because everything's getting too big. This is a Billia Kaleidoscope, one of my favorites. It just has some great color going on with it. I love to use heathers too. This is Flamboyant, and I don't remember which hooker that is. Yeah, afterwards. I want to fish with these first. Well, this is a really pretty one. Over here we've got, this is a great grass. This is Carex testacea. In the sun, it'll turn orange. In the shade, it'll stay green.
When you're looking for evergreen grasses, the Carexes are great ones.
They are really good ones. And we'll show you others as we go along. This one is Goldilocks, Chemacypris Goldilocks. Another nice yellowy one. Again, play off the colors, not just the flowers.
And one of the things, when we were choosing pots to pull in here, we chose some pots that were, say those blues, the trio of different heights. You could just put one specimen in each one of those pots. One of the things that, if you're not familiar with the terms thriller, filler, spiller for designing your containers, that doesn't have to be all in one container. You could do something tall in the tall pot as your thriller, something more moundy in the second pot as your filler, and then something draping like maybe this grass as your spiller in the bottom one, and just have them grouped as your display.
Or you could just throw the whole thriller, filler, spiller away and just have one specimen plant, one statement. So that's your own personal choice. We got some soils here. Edna's Best, and Earth First. Earth First is one of the new ones for us. This is one that we've been fighting for years, and we are so happy to have it. They're basically the same thing. The difference is this has peat. That's the yellow one, right? This has peat. This has cocoa core. Peat, they destroy the peat bogs. So it's destroying land. It's just, and I don't care for peat anyway. If it dries out too much, it's hard to rehydrate. Cocoa core. Great cocoa core. Comes from coconuts.
Yeah, it's a byproduct.
Yeah.
So it's something that we end up with anyway.
And it soaks up moisture. It's great for moisture.
And so I've been using that this past year, both at home and for containers here at Sunnyside. And I prefer it. I love working with it. And I do find that if it dries out...
Turn it.
If peat dries out, some of you may have this experience, then it's kind of gets rock hard, it doesn't want to soak up water, it's called hydrophobic, it actually repels the water. I haven't been seeing that with cocoa core.
No. With peat, you end up sticking in a bucket of water or a tray of water, and it's like, when are you gonna soak it up? You know, it's I love
So
that first.
big fans of the new product.
With your containers, pay attention to the size. That determines what you can actually fit in there. I do like to cram them full, so
We like to have we both share that. We like to have a nice full container right off the bat. And one question we always get when we get to planting them is that we're putting our root balls right next to each other and cramming them in, and people think they don't have room to grow. But the root balls go to here, and there's still plenty of soil here for them to grow.
Lots of space. Determine where it's going to be. Is it going to be in the sun? Is it going to be shade? That way you know what kind of plants you're looking for. Make sure there's a water source so that even in the wintertime we do need to do some watering, but you're going to have this container there year round, so you want to be able to have easy access to water. What kind of container is it going to be? Is it going to be against a wall? Is it going to be on the deck where you walk around it? That determines on whether you're going to be one-sided and tear down, or have your thriller in the middle and have it go all the way around. We're going to show you different styles of that. Yeah. Fertilizer.
So we have our base of the potting soil, which does start with some goodies in it that are good for everything. But the fertilizer then is what you add to customize your planting in your soil.
Surestart is one that can be used year-round. It's great in the cool weather. It's formulated to actually create good, strong root systems, and that is what's very important to keep your plants alive. They need their root system to be healthy and strong.
Another good thing about these products is that they are, besides organic, they break down slowly. So, especially say in those winter months, we might not see a lot going on up here in our plants that at the part we're looking at, but they are still working on their root structure and their root zone. And when it's raining, it's staying wet, we're not necessarily out there watering and fertilizing with any liquid fertilizer. That's still in there breaking down and providing some good nutrients for your plants slowly.
And another thing I would recommend to put in, and I did not bring a box in, is azomite. Azomite or trace minerals, and that is going to help your plants store nutrients when they're growing roots, when they're growing flowers, when they're just growing in general. They're using up nutrients. So they want to be able to be fed and store some nutrients so they can constantly pull from them. Very important. That's with anything you plant. And if it's an edible, it enhances flavors. So that's a bonus.
Yes, another question we get a lot with the soils, that people want to plant in it year after year and just keep using the same soil. To an extent, that's okay, but do keep in mind that if you have disease issues, that can be harboring over in that top part of that soil. Pest issues, a lot of insects and critters will lay eggs in that top part of the soil, and your nutrients are going to be depleted. Organic things are breaking down more.
And after a while, there's just so many roots in there.
It's true, yeah.
Where's the soil?
So, if you have a really deep pot and you're totally revamping it, you might find that bottom half, bottom third of the soil just seems totally fine. The roots haven't gotten down in there. Maybe you leave that and add new soil to the top half or 2/3. and keep that bottom part just as a kind of a moisture resource.
Yeah.
Even if the roots aren't getting down there, that soil is still used for
It still can wick.
topsoil
Yeah.
to wick up moisture. So we do get questions too, and we do have things like I can get it out. These guys
Oh, I had
that
some.
can make a false bottom. I only really recommend. We're using these today because we're just mocking up our pots. This size pot, I would not normally recommend
No.
using these. You're going to want all of this soil, or you're going to start struggling
It's
when
when
your
you get
plants
to the
grow and
really
it gets
big
hot.
ones and you have to move them that they're heavy. Yeah.
Yeah, if you have there are tall
they come in different
planters out
sizes.
there. So if you're, putting it down here and you still have a couple feet of soil, that's when these are really
Yeah.
beneficial. But that is a thing that is out there.
And it's not for everything. If you're putting a tree in a big container, let's not use one of those. The trees are going to need a large root system. In that case, then you might want to put it on a coaster so you can roll it around if you need to move it. This holds up to 500 pounds.
I have several of those for my big pots.
We also
I wouldn't
have
know that.
pot lifters to help keep it off of the surfaces so they don't stain. You don't get that ring around it.
Or if you have a wood deck, you don't want the moisture sitting on there rotting it. This lets airflow under to dry it out.
So we've got simple rubber squares, or we've got claws, paws, and butts. I've got the butts.
Who doesn't want butts sticking up from under their pot?
Who doesn't like to get moved once in a while? What else? I think I'm gonna pot something up.
All right, so she's, and some of you have looked through the paperwork. One of the things that I added to that in the back were some little diagrams. So she's gonna do a centered. This is one that you would look at all the way around. So your height, your thriller is going in the middle, and then she's gonna put some fillers and spillers around the sides.
So this one's going to be for a low light, so maybe early morning sun or filtered shade, not dark shade. I'm going to start with the camellia. We're mocking these. We're not going to actually plant them. We're going to pretend plant them.
What camellia do you have there?
I have Yuletide. So this is going to be a red blooming.
This is going to be blooming through the winter. So we're going for that year-round interest. It's always got leaves, so you've always got a beautiful glossy green plant, but you're going to have red flowers probably starting sometime in November.
Yeah,
Seems like they open up and through December.
Weather related.
So you're going to have some beautiful color over the winter, which is the time when we often don't have it in our containers.
So this is an autumn fern. This can be evergreen to semi-evergreen. Mine is kind of in a protected area, so it stays pretty much evergreen.
I've had good luck with them here being
I
evergreen.
love the new growth. So we're gonna play with this new growth because it's gorgeous, and right now it's a beautiful fall color. Did I tell you what kind of fern it was?
It's autumn fern.
Autumn fern. Well, this was actually this one is really it's an autumn fern. Lamium. Lamium is an evergreen to a certain temperature. Most of the time it's evergreen here. It's when we get freaky weather that it might become semi-evergreen. You take your chance, but I like it in containers, so I take my chance.
And something you can do over the winter, we tend to get that week where we're down in the teens and it's real cold. If you're concerned about some of your plants during those cold nights, you can either have on hand some frost cloth or remay. One of the brands that we carry is called Harvest Guard. It's just a very thin, soft fabric that light can get through and moisture can get through, but it just bumps everything a few degrees. And we see a huge difference when we early spring out here in our department when we're getting things in and it's still getting a little cold at night. We'll put that over the top of plants at night, and you can very much see a difference between the ones that have been protected and not. If you don't have the frost cloth, you can use an old lightweight sheet overnight as long as you're taking it off during the day. That's gonna give your plants some protection. Also, wrapping the pot can help too. One of the things we often tell people is that things that are labeled zone 7 and lower are generally pretty reliable perennials here. in a container, this soil's going to get colder than in the ground. It's not as insulated.
So your roots are going to be exposed.
Zone
basically.
6 or colder is generally more reliable. So keep in mind that this is going to get cold if we have those cold times. Sometimes people wrap it in burlap. Sometimes just having that whole protection over the whole thing, it helps enough. And also if you have it kind of up in, close to your house or someplace where it's kind of protected by trees, if you look at your landscape after a frost, you can really see where it's more protected and the spots that get heavier frost and situate things from there and know where you need to protect things.
And think in terms of when you're wrapping it. When we're outside and we're chilly, we put a coat on and we're fine. That's basically what you're doing to the root system with the pot. You're giving it a coat. So here I've got Gultheria procumbens. I like this for the holidays, obviously because of the red berries. This is also called wintergreen. This is what they make the flavoring out of.
You can actually eat the berries and
I think the
resembles
flavor is
toothpaste.
actually from the leaves though, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I have tried the berries, I'm not tried the leaves.
So you've got the copper foliage here. That's the new growth to go with the copper of the fern and then the brightness of the berries. And then I'm going to tuck in, I need some more pot lifters. I'm going to tuck in a pansy. This is a winter pansy.
The pansies and violas are the things you're going to see us use that are an annual, but they're a winter annual. So this is the beginning of their season. They are generally one season. It's the heat that they don't like. So when you get to the summer and they're getting all leggy, they might be getting kind of diseased. That's because they're kind of at the end of their life. They don't want to do the heat. But you can have them all winter. They can freeze, they'll look flat, they'll look terrible, and the little sun hits them and they spring back up.
When they freeze, they just shrivel up. And it's like, oh my god! And then 2 hours later, the sun's on them and they're all perky and happy again. So don't panic if it starts to shrivel up. It will come back. Alright, this is Ophiopogon. This is black mondo grass. Now typically, I would be able to fit this in with the Bergenia, and that will show off the black blades, but I have a big gallon pot in the way. So if I was taking this out of the pots, it would fit. So we'll have to imagine the greenery.
We do squish fruit balls.
This is the Abelia kaleidoscope, a small version of this one. That's one of my faves. Again, we're playing with that coppery color.
We've also got that teeny tiny start of a shrub. But by the time we take it out of this container, it's going to be a better size for out in the landscape.
And then right here we've got Heuchera marmalade. Playing off the color again. I'm going to tuck that. Where do I want to tuck that? I'm going to tuck that next to the fern. And this is a lingonberry. Again, nice berries for the holiday. Why not?
Or echoing those red berries with a different plant.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm going to tuck in a pansy. And I'm going to tuck it in over here. So you've got something going on all around it.
And notice the different textures she's got. She's got a very ferny texture next to a bigger boulder leaf, next to some little berries. We've got the grassy texture. You could do things that are more trailing like you see in some of these things. But you can think of a trailer as that black grass is going over the edge. The heuchera, those leaves are going to go over the edge. So you do have something going to be gracing the edge, especially if you have a shorter pot. You don't necessarily need something that's down,
No.
trailing down to the ground to be your spiller. Yeah.
How quick are they going to crowd each other out? I mean, that's gorgeous, but
Again, you've got space down here for the roots. So you can keep them in for 2 to 3 years, and then it's time to, refresh
And
it.
part of that too is if they have less space, they're going to grow slower. It's kind of the fishbowl thing. Now, the same with fish. No, they cannot live forever. That they do need to grow. So at some point, if you don't take them out, something's going to die off to make room for something else. So if you've got things in there for a few years, they're seeming more stressed. maybe their color's not as vibrant as it used to be, might be time to take them out.
Yep.
You'll probably also have these perennials growing, so if you have these in there for another season, it may not be fitting the pansies in next season if you don't take anything out, because their root balls will grow. Or you can edit and take a few things out and leave some other things for a little bit longer. It's totally up to you. I am playing with and rearranging my containers all the time.
All the time.
And being a renter, I have a lot of containers because I am a plant addict.
And they, seasonal. You've got to play with them if you want to keep them updated on each season. The look. I also do some.
I know she's had a question here for a
Now,
while.
would that be more for shade? What would this particular pot be?
This is for low light, so it could be morning sun. It could be filtered light, but not dark shade. So it's considered a low light or a shade area as long as it's not dark.
Most of these plants are going to like a lot of afternoon sun. Now, once we're getting into winter,
It's not so much of a concern.
it's not a big concern because we're very cloudy. But if you're planning on keeping this long term, you'll either need to move this to a more shady area if you've got it in afternoon sun, or make sure you have stuff that can handle the conditions there year round.
Now, another thing that I do at home is I have both planted ones and I have inserts for the seasons. Did you notice that? She came to my house for the first time the other day. I have those 3 pots down below. Those are inserts.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
So I take those out. I have seasonal inserts. Yeah. So there's different ways to go about it.
And we've had, I do custom planting, just in case that's wanted. I get a lot of people's containers in baskets in the spring and plant them up and grow them up in the greenhouse a little bit for people to then take home. I do get people bringing in their plastic inserts for all of their ceramic pots on their property. And, some people, like, just because it's plastic, they'll even have written on there in Sharpie, like, front yard, so I know which ones go together, so they can be coordinated, and then they just go plop them in their pots for the season. You don't see that plastic,
Yep.
but they don't have to haul their ceramic in and out of here.
Yep.
So it works really well.
Yeah.
All right, so, yes.
How high do you put the soil? Or how much space do you leave?
I leave
About a-
inch and a half, maybe if it's a bigger pot. You want to have enough space that when you water it, it's not just
You're not
spreading
spilling
the
over,
soil
yeah.
over. So, I definitely, I don't want my plants to look like they're sinking into the pot necessarily, and that can happen over time as the organic matter is breaking down in there. I do have some sinkers and things that have been in the pots for
Yeah.
a few years, and they really
time
need their
to lift
soil
them up,
refreshed
yeah,
anyway. So
yeah.
I'm gonna pull them out in the spring, get some new, fresh soil in there and underneath, and boost them. But yeah, definitely leave your soil level at probably about an inch and a half for a lot of them down below the lip. So you get your hose blasted on high, you're not washing away all of your soil.
Or if you're fertilizing, topping it off for a season, you're not watering it and warping it out the edges.
Yeah.
When I change out my soil, should I wash out my pot? And if so, what kind of solution would I use?
That's a good question.
You can do a water bleach solution and then let it dry before you add any soil back into it.
That's definitely going to be the safest way.
Yeah.
Because you don't always see pest or disease
Right.
issues, or you may not know how to identify them. So that is definitely the best way to go about it, cleaning everything for a fresh start.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
How do you feed the planter like 2 months later?
How do you feed it?
Yeah.
Well, you can do different, for one thing, different fertilizers. You can do a water soluble so that it's liquid and you just water it that way. Or if you're using a dry, which I use a lot of dry, you get in there and you just kind of scratch it into the surface, and then when you water, it'll absorb down into the root system.
Do you have here the liquid one?
We do
We do. We have
both.
Seed Grow,
Seed-Grow, yeah.
which is part organic, part synthetic.
And we have Espoma.
Yes. So the Seed Grow, a little less expensive because it is synthetic. I don't personally use it. We do use it here because it is a lot less expensive. It'd be very expensive for us to fertilize the whole department with organic. But
If the plant is
It
meant
does-
to survive, use an organic.
yeah, when I'm mostly okay with using the synthetics is in a container with annuals. You want an annual to put on a big show all season, and then you're chucking it in the end of the season.
Their job is to look pretty and then die.
So if you're doing all season planting and you have perennials, things that you want to survive season after season, you're going to move them out in your landscape. You want them to have a good base, a good strong root system, because that's really going to keep the whole plant happy and healthy. So better to use organics. I always use the bagged stuff, the granular, and then I supplement with the Espoma liquid. And there are a couple different, well,
There's
three different
Grow.
ones. There's Grow, which is going to have more nitrogen for your green growth. So things that are not going to be flowering, for the most part, are going to be happy with that. You can always look up the specific plants, and you can Google the plant name and NPK or fertilizer or nutrients, and it'll usually give you its preferred numbers that associate with what's on the bag or the bottle.
So the pictures aren't necessarily what you're looking for. You want to look for the numbers. And if you're not sure what the specific plant is you're looking to fertilize, just come to us and we will help you with that. Because you might have something in your garage already that will work. It just doesn't have the picture of that plant on it.
Yeah, we as far as the Espoma liquid, there's also tomato. And bloom, which are honestly fairly similar. Like, I don't always have everything on hand at my house. I'll kind of swap those two because they're similar in what they have. Both bloom and tomato are going to have more to promote blooming, because when we want tomatoes, we want fruit that comes from a flower. So
You gotta get them to flower first.
So choosing your fertilizers for what your plants are growing and doing is important. Sure Start has a lot for roots. It's also going to do well for blooming plants. It works well for the root zones for green plants. So honestly, I use Sure Start with nearly everything that I'm planting. If I have something for tomato and veggie and I'm planting veggies, I'll use that. But I always have Sure Start.
Yeah, it's high in nitrogen and phosphorus.
Yeah.
So when let's just say you have a pot that size with that number of plants, and you're going to use a Sure Start for the planting beginning. Do you use it again later in the season, or just that?
You can, or you
first
can use
time?
another fertilizer.
Okay.
When you have it packed this full of plants, it's a little hard to get that in there, and that's where I switched to a liquid. Also, a liquid is ready for the plant to use right away, so it's like a shot of caffeine. The granular is going to break down slowly and feed them slowly. When they're in their really high growing part of the season, adding some liquid in there is going to help support that big growth.
But again, if you just have the dry, that's fine. I quite often, every few weeks I'll get some more in there. So it's just breaking down as it's going.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about phosphate and how that ties into this fertilizing process?
So the phosphorus and the potassium are what's going to help with your foliage color and your buds and blooms, which is important for things that are blooming.
Percentage-wise?
Well, again, it depends on what it is you're putting it on. That's why the numbers are different for. This is the potassium, the phosphorus, and this is the potassium. So it depends on what you're putting it on. So that's where we would help you along the way with the numbers, if you're not sure. So.
And I usually, if you're kind of just starting out with that kind of stuff, I like to look at the packaged stuff that's packaged for specific things a lot and look at the numbers, because that helps you kind of learn like what they have formulated for what kind of plants, and it just helps get in your head, what the appropriate numbers are.
All right, you want to do the big boy?
Do the big boy. All right, so I'm gonna do this lovely. Not everybody's choice. I know. If you guys know Trevor, he's been ordering the pottery. And the first time he ordered this, he was disappointed. It was not purple, and it looked very pink to him. But I find it's really fun to work with these unusual colors.
A lot of us felt the same, but then it grew on us.
I'm a pink girl, so
She's a
I always
girly
love them.
I want my orange or my purple.
So one thing that I don't think we mentioned, of course, we're coordinating with the color of the pot. One thing I ask people a lot when they're picking out pottery and plants is especially if they're putting it up against their house, what color is your house? You know, if you have a yellow house and you're putting yellow
Yeah.
plants in there, they're going to disappear.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got a yellow house and you put this in here like I'm going to, that's not going to do much for you. If you do more of a blue in the back, that's really going to pop off of that yellow house. So keep in mind what your backdrop is for your containers.
Sorry, what size is your pot?
What size?
It looks about 20 inches, I think.
More or less.
Big.
Yeah, it's probably 18, 20 inches. What is this? 17. Yeah, it's probably about 18. So I am going to start with Forever Goldie here. You know, I love using chartreuse in any combination. I think it makes everything else pop. And this adds a very nice structure that, you know, this lovely gal is going to get bigger and go out in our landscape later. Or if, you know, maybe we don't have a place to put it, we can always, you know, just give it to a friend or sell it online. You know, there are a lot of things you can do with plants that you no longer have a space for.
How big will that one get, and what area would you plant that in if you took it out of your pot?
This would be a sunny area.
Okay.
It's tag, which is generally a 10 year. You know, they all vary because we all have different growing conditions. But it's going to get 12 feet high, 4 feet wide. So, yeah, if you have something that's going to get big, generally it's going to be a faster grower.
Keep in mind, conifers never stop growing; they just slow down.
They slow down. Okay, this is she laughs at me because I'm always talking about
She
Primo.
loves the Primo.
It's a little guy. These get about 4 feet tall. Again, never stop growing, but they do slow down as they get older. You know, it's evergreen. It gets out fun structures. You know, puts its little arms out and it makes interesting shapes. And because it is a small grower, it is a slow grower. So you could have this in a container for quite a long time. I've had one probably 3 or 4 years in a container. And I am starting to run out of room to plant around it because that's what I've been doing. I have a few other perennials in there, but then I stick annuals in there for seasonal color. It's starting to get a little tight after a few years. I'm probably going to bump it up to a bigger pot so I can get back to planting around it.
Is that shade or sun?
Sun.
So this whole
Do you have
pot
a shady spot you're working with? Okay.
This whole pot she's doing could be for the sun.
Yeah, you're going to find a lot more options for sunny spots. There are some things that can handle more shade as far as conifers, but most of them like sun. All right, doing our one-sided. You know, she did the tall in the middle, and then she did some taller and shorter growing around the edges. I'm doing my tall toward the back, and I'm going to stair step down.
So this would be like against a wall.
Yeah, against a wall, a fence, someplace where you're not necessarily going to be looking at the back of it. You know, a lot of people like to flank their doorways. This would be a good one for that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to flank this guy. I still want some height. I don't want to put little tiny things next to it. I'm going to flank it with some height. So I have this little rhododendron, just a little guy. You know, we're starting off with just a small gallon, which, you know, imagine out in your landscape is going to look pretty tiny. This one's going to get 3 feet tall, 4 feet wide. So eventually it's going to be a nice flower bed landscape size plant. But for now, I'm going to put it in my container here, flanking this guy. And then I'm going to get some nice white spring blooms. So I've got evergreen, I've got my nice leafy to contrast with this, and a nice dark green, which is a good contrast with the chartreuse, but I have future flowers planned. On the other side, I am going to put this euphorbia. Now, these euphorbias are evergreen. A lot of people don't realize when they're looking at them out in the departments, but they're going to keep these leaves all winter. And over the winter and into the spring, they're going to start making their flower beds. So they make these sweet little curled flower buds. Excuse me. So this is going to continue to get a little taller through the season. I'm going to hide for a minute.
Talk. You want me to keep going on this? She's getting over a cold. So, this is Euphorbia glacier. So, there's all kinds of different euphorbias, different colors, some deep dark ones. I have one over there, I'll show you later.
They don't all stay evergreen.
No, there are some that will lose their leaves. This particular one is evergreen. The ones I carry in seasonal are all evergreen. Yeah. And then next she has Virginia. Now Virginia is going to be nice for, you have that in the center, right?
In the center, yeah.
And this is going to bronze up in the wintertime. So you're going to get two different colors out of this. And then it'll have a spring flower. You ready?
You'll kind of get a burgundy color on it. Sorry if I continue to cough.
This is her creation, so I want
Try to keep it to a minimum. But yeah, you can see that we're playing with different textures. I've got a lot of fine leaf going on, so now I'm putting a nice bold leaf in here. And again, this is going to send up some pink blooms in the spring. I have Carrick's Feather Falls. Remember we mentioned Carrick's and how it's evergreen. Thank you. Yes. Oh, everybody's taking care of me. So this is similar colors to my euphorbia over here. So I'm going to use this as my spiller.
What's that in your mouth?
Put it in my mouth. And I'm gonna do opposite. If I put it right here, then it's redundant. So I'm gonna echo it over here on this other side. Gracing our edges. Yes, you can trim up her ends if you prefer. This mum is just too perfect, so I couldn't stand it. I had to grab it. I also took one home right away. Even though I say I don't buy mums, I bought 2 this season. So this is not going to go all winter, but this would be a great one to then, when this is done, stick a pansy in here. And the pansies in the cool are going to keep growing and fill this spot to replace this.
And it is a perennial, so put it in the ground somewhere and enjoy it next year.
So again, we're doing the pot, so we're squishing. If we were really planting these, which we often do, one of the questions we get is, people want to really rough up that root ball, and we don't tend to do that unless it's really winding and tight, and it's not looking like it's going to grow out of that, winding up and tight. Then we'll maybe do some cuts or break it apart. If the roots are looking pretty happy and healthy, let's see how this guy's looking. It doesn't hurt to take a peek. Yeah, I'm not going to mess with that. I'm just going to plop it in. That's going to just grow out into the pot real nicely. So if I roughed that up, then I'd have to take some time repairing those roots, and it doesn't need it. So that's a little bit of kind of an old-fashioned way to look at it. But there are some that have really been in the pots a little long and have the roots really winding, and you might need to intervene a little bit then.
And some roots are really thick as opposed to others that are really thin.
And then I've got this beautiful berry smoothie heuchera, one that I almost bought the other day and realized I probably have 5 or 6 at home already. But I love this color. That's just amazing. And you can see how as this grows, especially these larger leafed ones, they really flop their leaves over the edge. So especially in a more shallow pot, this can be your spiller because it's going to go down over the edge. But as it is, it's adding another boldness next to my grassy texture.